Okay, I pressed the button. Let's see if we're live once again on the YouTubes. They can't get enough of us, can they?
It's true.
It's like they keep asking for it. Daily streams. Just every 10 minutes, just a new topic, a new thing, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart, first picture, what do you think? New picture, did it just 10 minutes ago.
What, the Prime Retcon Reboot or Remaster?
Yes.
It's amazing. I love it. It looks great. Cool. So we are live to the internet now. Okay, cool. Hi, guys. Anyway, today we're going to talk about something that's kind of controversial and kind of raised a bit of a stink yesterday when we talked about it. And that is Discovery Prime a retcon, reboot, or, well, it's not really a remaster. I don't know if that counts.
Well, you never know. These lines are so grey at this point, aren't they? Or just black and white Prime, says the producers. Either one, take your pick.
What? When clearly it's not. Empirical evidence states that it's not. Visual evidence says no, it's not Prime. But
Hence
that's okay.
why is it retcon or reboot? That's why the just rebooted Prime. That's why these questions are even more interesting.
True. So yeah, well, anyway, let's just go to the next picture.
Bring it places.
Oh my god, that's an awful picture.
Aw.
I mean, it's good, it's great, but just they call that a Klingon ship compared to Prime Klingon ships there, and then the Discovery Enterprise compared to the Prime Enterprise. Yeah. Have we released this episode of Mission Briefing where we talk about the specific Klingon ship yet?
No. Exclusive.
Yes. Well, we do talk about this and give our thoughts on it, and yeah, it's not something that I am happy about, but who am I to judge?
But what is this picture trying to tell us, Stuart? Because everything here is canon. Everything here is Prime. What's it trying to tell us? Like, break down the picture for what literally is on screen right now, Stuart.
What we're basically looking at here is the Discovery verse, or Prime as it is, versus the old Prime that we all know and love for the last 50 years. Discovery has kind of jumped on board and said, nope, this is the Prime Enterprise. Hey, even with the size difference, which is hard to retcon, honestly. When John Eaves and Scott Snyder designed this, they did account for the fact that pieces could be removed, so it could eventually become the Prime Enterprise, exactly like we see below there. However, it got scaled up somewhat, and the size thing's way harder to explain away than the actual aesthetics of it. Then there's the Klingon ship, which we've seen Klingon ships in Enterprise, the Enterprise era, which look very, very, very much like the D7, the Katangas.
Also, John Eaves designed.
Yes, also designed by John Hughes. And then there's this blue, hideous monstrosity behind them, which I don't know who designed. It could have been John Hughes, but that's beside the point. It clearly doesn't look Klingon to me. I understand that their Discovery's trying to make the Klingons look more alien, and I get that, but then don't tell us it's Prime.
Or very clever reasoning like Herc or radical redesign, changing, like they brought a new chancellor in that said, "I hate everything that we ever made. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Kill it if you have to." Yes.
It's just this random chancellor comes in and kills all our favorite characters and ships and wastes Leia. I mean Krug, whoever.
And people have made that argument that since there's no unified Klingon defense force or no unification with the Klingons, there's the separate Klingon houses. Yeah, that's why they're using different ships, but that doesn't make sense because you're telling me they went from ship designs from Enterprise, which look clearly Klingon, to this. What did they do with the rest of the Klingon fleet? Are they going to pull it out of mothballs in season 2 of Discovery? Is that what that's about? That hologram we saw? It could be that the actual Klingon fleets, the unified fleets, aren't being used because of their civil war right now. So I don't know what to say about that.
Well, it depends. I mean, we've still got, 80 years between Enterprise and Discovery. So if you think of all the Klingon ships, maybe the first run, those that were KDF, well, it's not necessarily KDF, but a pre-existing unified force, maybe they all got destroyed in civil wars, and then every individual planet had to start constructing new ships, and because each planet has been colonized over, hundreds of years, they've all got certain resources, certain engineers. I mean, if while you wouldn't necessarily just build an old standard design if you want to actively be ahead of everyone else. Why would you build a ship that's been out for 30 years? Why not try and design a new one? So if you look at these ships, and again, if it's literally as canon, then why not try and build a huge ship with different attributes that is maybe better in stealth, or better in attack, or better in weapons? Scimitar approach is build it with, well, that's everything, but with big guns. And so then all these different, it's not so much houses as different planets. They all have such a unique piece, and then obviously it then comes together and they say, well, now let's try and reform and be spiritually improving. Now, would that alleviate the need to have a unified fleet, especially considering the Klingons don't colonize all the time, they also conquer, and it's warp races I don't think they would care about. So if they're attacking some random civilization, and this is similar to one of the ships they did 10 years ago, and they say, right, let's make a Klingon version that, using your shipyards, that we're just going to give you more technology, and boom, you've got this new D7 that just happens to be called D7. It's not KDF, it's not standardized, but it's just that planet's kick-ass warship. What do you think?
That's really interesting.
Today it's about making this make sense, Stuart.
Oh, I know it is. And one of the things you were I thought of while you were talking there is you did mention a new chancellor or whatever coming in and kind of scrapping the old stuff, and I do like that. If the ruling power was the ones responsible for the old ship design that we see in Enterprise, and they basically get, like the Russian czars, they get kicked out and ousted. They don't want any remnants of that left, so they either destroy the fleet or, like I said, put it in mothballs for whatever.
Or just salvage it, just take pieces and rip it apart.
Start building their own designs, thinking that they're an improvement, and then there's a civil uprising again, and these guys in season 2, because of L'Rell with the bomb and the unification now, and the creation of the KDF, hopefully, will bring back those old ships, which could just be in mothballs. I mean, that works for me. But I do like your idea of the conquered shipyards as well, because we know the Klingons do that, at least in Fast and Starfleet battles. They have slaves working on board the ship, basically.
And it's one of those things that if they went into season 1 knowing the real plan, the real thought process, saying, this is what we're doing, and so every time we see a ship, someone will say, oh my god, it's a House Magai ship. They're amazingly strong at this. And then you have, in a fleet battle, Takuvma says, every house has joined us with their weird-ass designs. We've, our legacy ship here looks vaguely Klingon-y, but, but it's one of those things that it would be nice then to see the older ships, because in that fleet battle, why couldn't you have had the older ships as well as the mothball, not necessarily mothball, but you've got, if you're trying to bring a fleet to bear, you might bring older ships, just try and rush as much to battle as possible. So, see this new ship as again, this is if this is the D7, see that, but then see components of another ship attached which are more similar. Make a spectrum of, well, this is a fresh build, this is a slightly more Klingon-y, kitbashy one. I don't know. Then you would assume you'd see designs like this after the fact.
Well, yeah, that's the problem we're having, right? You would also maybe assume that, like you said, they would take parts from the older ships to use in these, incorporate them. So if these were more kitbashy, with maybe like D7 nacelles or something, maybe 4 of them. I would actually
D6
like
nacelles.
Well, yes, I would actually like that better, because it could be that, we scrapped the old fleet, but we're still using components of it, trying to do something new, and eventually they just go back to the old design. That actually makes a lot more sense than just radically new designs. I don't know.
It's one of those things that you realize that the person that designed these ships didn't have any of those thoughts in their mind. It's completely form follows form follows form. And based on a basic objective of Gothic and different. It's like when we read the Bird of Prey manual, and we'll look at it a little bit later. The instruction was, don't make it look like a Klingon Bird of Prey from the show, and it's like, oh, that's kind of the wrong objective.
Guys, I hate to interrupt you, but for whatever reason, we're not seeing the ships on the screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you need to watch the live stream, if you recall. That's where all the visuals are.
Yeah, we gotta give you the live stream link. Hold on.
That would have been helpful.
Yeah. Anyway, the ships don't look anything like Klingon D7.
Well, there it is in the Skype. So if you just load that up, it'll be about 10 seconds delayed, but we're still on that picture, so then you can follow along. So just watch that in the back. Just watch that full screen, I guess, or half screen or something, and you can see the images. Shall I read the super chats while they bring that up, Stuart?
Yeah, sure. That'd be awesome.
David Bessig, I'm with the captain, Discoverse, $1.99. And Baz T, hi guys, how are you? Love these discussions. How are you all in the live room? How are you all?
They're good. Yay. It's early, I guess. There's nobody there.
It is really early, Stuart.
I know. Trust me, I know. I've been at this convention since Friday, and it's just been busy.
You guys got the link okay?
Working on it.
The only other option would be for one of us to, or for you to share your screen, I guess. But
well,
I don't know if that would work.
I couldn't monitor live then.
Other option would be for you to share your screen, I guess.
Yeah, you can't play the audio from the live. No, Captain George, you're the non-live live room.
Let's see here.
If you turn off the Skype, if you mute the Skype, guys, you can just watch the. Can you mute a Skype? I don't know. Stuart, should we go to the next picture?
Yes. Sure.
Side view. Is this any more helpful, Stuart, or is this even more confusing?
No, we're about to have it. Just give us 1 second.
Yeah, we're just going to continue the discussion so that.
And this is accurate scale as well, so they clearly went bigger, and then smaller again, and then bigger again, but not quite as big.
Yeah, that's interesting too. And we know that the Negvar, I mean, that's a new design. It's late TNG era. So I don't know, man. I just don't know what to say about this because they went so far out of the box with the Klingon design aesthetic. It's really difficult to understand why. I mean, I'm sure we'll get an explanation. At least I hope we do in season 2, because we did see the Klingon D7 hologram. So something's got to be mentioned about this because we haven't seen. Even if we saw one Klingon D7 or something in a fleet, that fleet heading towards Earth, or in one of the battles during the war on Discovery, it would have been nice. Then we could have been like, okay, they exist. There's a reason that they're not being used as the full fleet. But we didn't get any of that. So.
Yeah, although I always have a feeling that D7 will be upscaled to match the new Discovery Enterprise because otherwise it won't feel menacing. And
it would have to be because the D7 was always a little bit smaller than the Constitution class anyway.
And that'll make the D7 almost the size of a Katinga, or a Vorcha, sorry, which means the Vorcha has to be upscaled and bigger than the E. But with E's upscaled now, oh dear. It goes and it goes.
Yeah. Well.
But I mean, scale is one of the easiest things to re-retcon them down. And I know someone said in the chat afterwards, once you left yesterday, that we should do an experiment where we should take a prime set of scales and then upscale them with a Connie that matches the new Connie scale. So how big would the new ships be, or the old ships be at the new scale if everything was kept consistent to the Connie? I then said, how do you then compare that to anything else? Because if everything's being upscaled, it's just bigger. What are you comparing against exactly?
Well, yeah.
But I guess the E to the E, but if we're retcon upscaling everything, then put it into a Star Destroyer and be like, well, damn. I guess that fight's a lot easier now.
Yeah, I don't know. But as you said, I mean, resizing things is good. And this next picture shows that. I mean, you've resized this monstrous, I guess it's D7, Discovery D7, down to match the rest of the fleet. Now, did you change the scale of the Discovery Bird of Prey as well in this picture?
Let me go to that. So yeah, and it's also worth noting that The last picture with all the ships, they're all in scale. All the Discovery scales have been given for these ships, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But this shot of all the different Klingon ships, they're not to scale because that would be unhelpful for sort of comparison. It's more design scale rather than scale. Just wanted to show all of the existent ships through the eras, and see the design. What we're being told is design progression of the battleship line and the bird of prey line. Although, as we know, that the Lorels, it was called a D7 by a computer, which I doubt would be wrong because it's a computer. Although it's a human designation of a Klingon ship, but again, why would that be in question? But it's a prison ship in that episode. But it's called a D7, so we can take it as read. So this is the official continuation of the design progression. And what do you think, Stuart? Is there any odd ones out? Do you think the Vorchar doesn't quite fit? Because the Vorchar, I mean, come on, doesn't quite look good, does it?
Well, it still follows the basic design rules. No, it's obvious that the Discovery ones are the odd duck out here, and it's like somebody at the Klingon Design Bureau had a stroke
KDB.
one day. Yeah, had a stroke one day and had absolute power apparently. And it's like, we're doing this.
Sounds like Ryan Johnson.
Oh, shots fired. That's awful.
Or just the Brian Fuller because he, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that have you seen a few of those redesigned versions of these ships, taking them to try and fit them into the era? You've seen a couple of those, haven't you? Like the bird of prey and such. It's like, ooh, kind of works now.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, I should show you them. They're really interesting. Like, how do you take that shape? Because at least that shape is canon. Because we've seen the D7 how it was rebooted, retconned, remastered into Trials and Tribulations in more detail. So that is still whatever. And in Voyager we see a D7, but it's just a 3D Katinga model from DS9, and therefore technically speaking, that's we're saying all D7s look like Katingas, which it's not the worst thing in the world. So they can certainly change the texture of a ship after the fact. So if they could change the texture of these Klingon ships, maybe.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing those. I mean, I have my own ideas of how that could be done. But no, I don't think I've actually seen those.
But doesn't it make you sad just seeing the wonderful D5, D7, Vorcha, Katinga evolution? It's like, oh, it's so nice and smooth.
Yeah. And people have pointed out as well that the only sizing we actually get for Discovery is what Eaglemoss has presented, and that's not on-screen canon. No. I know that Eaglemoss works directly with CBS and is officially licensed. So basically, that's CBS's way of telling us the numbers without saying it on screen, in my opinion. But a lot of people don't think that it's official because of that.
Well, I mean, they've been told by the guys that are making the show, that have been told by the visual effects department, who are the ones that built the ships to the scale that use them in the show. So, I mean, that's as close as accurate. Now, while Eaglemoss has got many things wrong before in scale, just because official to CG versus real life scale can sometimes be different. But this show, you should be able to trust the scales the most of, because they asked them during production what the scales, and they gave them back as they're working on it. So they just, went and asked an animator and said, hey, what are we working with today as we make shots for episode 13? Oh, these scales. Cool, thanks. So it's as official as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd consider them official, if not necessarily canon, so they can certainly change them back. But then it would make all Eaglemoss issues seem a bit of a waste, and hundreds of thousands of people, or millions that own them. It's a bit sad for them, really. Do you have to buy Shinjo Mark II just to get the correctly scaled version?
Yeah, and it's one of their. What was their bonus supplement? It was a size chart, wasn't it, showing all the ships?
Yes, which I have. Do you want to grab that briefly?
Sure, that'd be all right. I'm just gonna check the super chat here while you're. So we got
that right here. Yeah, if you want to read the super chat.
Daniel Hentz put in 5. He said the size ship of this are the size of Disco canon. I think we only see the sizes on Eaglemoss. Oh, that's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
Yes, that's why I mentioned it. So yeah, here we have the Discovery scales. And it, shows the Discovery a whopping 750 meters. It's pretty big. Yeah.
That is pretty big, yeah.
And even the smallest ship, the teeny little saucer one, is 225 meters.
The Shran.
Yep. Yeah. It's tricky.
Well, I consider those official numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
considering the source and considering, you know, the fact that Eaglemoss is working closely with CBS. I mean,
But most importantly, we have the Enterprise here at 442 meters. 442 compared to what, 229?
yeah, something like that.
What's that, a 35% increase roughly? 442.
It's at least 25% increase.
I see what we did there. So at that rate, it's not bigger than a single Klingon ship. Every single Klingon ship is at least 15% bigger, with the battleships being over double the size, and Sarcophagus being 5 times the size of the Enterprise. Yay!
Wow.
But anyway, we have another little scaly chart here with all the different ships, and this is again in time order to show what the canon progression is of scales designs. Because again, the Connie and the D7 are still canon. They haven't taken them out. But there's so many things you could do. If you just shrunk the nacelles down by, what, 1/3 and a half? And then shrunk the saucer... Oh wait, no, is this my scale, is it? This is my conceptual scale.
Yes.
Ah! Sorry, Stuart. What is this meant to be, actually? My bad.
This is number 4 we're on?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, this is the size chart you made up. Just putting everything into perspective. I mean, look at, like you said, look at the size of Discovery. Or wait a minute, this is the one you did, right? Scaling Discovery down saucer-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that they follow the same logic of the NX-01 saucer being the same as the Connie saucer to at least keep a sense of consistency. Everything else is just bigger. So this is if you do the same thing, and suddenly it all mostly fits. It's just you have the slightly oddly long cells, but hey, technology requires sacrifices and changes, but it doesn't break the bank. So they're in proportion, just in proportion to a newly upscaled scale.
Yeah, and when we first talked about this picture, I remember this now because we talked about the length of the Discovery nacelles compared to the Excelsior.
Yes.
The Excelsior was an experimental testbed for the new transwarp drive.
Yep.
And we know that the Crossfield class, well, at least the Glenn and the Discovery, were experimental spore drive technology. So I don't mind the longer nacelles here if the ship was scaled down to this, with the saucer being relatively the same size for the era. Yeah. So
just a concept one because it's this makes it feel a lot better. And if you did cut the Discovery nacelles down to about the Shepherd class, it would be a bit big, but the Enterprise is just the strongest and most capable. But you know, this is different purposes.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Enterprise, Stuart, we have this again comparing them both. They're the same ship, but they're a different ship. But they're the same universe, but maybe a different universe. I just want to do a direct comparison here, which is too big for the thing. So this is the evolution of the Enterprise lineage, fully canon, fully dated, and including the cage, because the cage is important because we know the cage is canon because of yesterday, and we double confirmed it. So this is this is a brand new one done just for this convention. So huzzah! So that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. People will say, well, the Enterprise is now a war variant because they're at war with the Klingons, but it was only a year-long war, and
they didn't do well.
And yeah, exactly.
With ships that had a cloak that won every engagement.
Yeah. I mean, even here, if you look at the cage compared to the 2265 TOS Enterprise, you can see that there are a few differences. The secondary hull in the cage is a little bit bigger, but it had less crew, which we didn't have a problem with. A lot more bulky machinery, older technology. It got upgraded before Kirk got command. Smaller units, smaller technology, larger crew was be able to be accommodated. The hull was shrunk down a little bit. That I can see as, you know, taking off the excess plating on the outside, putting more advanced, thinner ones on. That's fine. It's a size difference that makes sense and can be explained. You put the Discovery in there, and it's a totally different hull shape. It's totally different everything.
But it is the same ship, Stuart.
Oh, obviously, yes.
And as you can see, 3 years later it was changed, and then 7, 8 years later it was re-shrunk. because we know the Enterprise. But Jim, the Enterprise is old. It's over 40 years old or 20 years. He got it wrong in the movie, so whatever. But it's old.
It is old. Yes.
Because if it wasn't old, then it wouldn't be in service. Because if it was 20 years old from 3, it would still be before Discovery. I don't know.
Even that I have an issue with, because ships can be in service for hundreds of 100 years, like a Navy ship.
Style.
Some planes, they get just retrofitted and updated. So 20 years is not a long time, especially for modern day ships, let alone one in the future.
Especially if it takes 3 years to build, 2 years to design, and then you retire it in 4 times that time. It's like, oh, yeah, that was quick.
And 40 years is maybe starting to get, well, maybe we can consider putting it out to pasture, but I don't know. Yeah, there's just no way to, in my opinion, there's no way to fix this continuity size issue.
Just seems like a waste of everyone's time in the designing bureau, because you've got to think in universe for the reason. Why would you, because wouldn't you just keep it this scale? Or build a new ship? There's no rationale to do this sort of jump.
Well, that's the problem. There's no thought put in, no rationale.
But that is the canon, guys. So enjoy the canon. So the next picture, though, is a classic scale to 100 probe with the original scale for the movies and then for TNG. This is the natural evolution. But I wanted to sort of not end this, but do the last part for your next picture. This is now what the canon is telling us is the universe of Star Trek, with the NX-01 now included for scale. And the new rebooted retconned Enterprise, because for all intents and purposes they're retconning, or probably retconning in, as that was always the Enterprise, although John Eves didn't think that when he was designing it, which would imply that it's not designed to be that, but hey ho, they don't really care. So this is now what we see, Stuart. The original Connie is gone, doesn't exist, this is it. So now does this work?
You know the answer to that. We don't know what happens after Discovery. So maybe the refit is going to be bigger. Because like we said, after you do this, you got to retcon everything else. So if they take this TOS Enterprise we've seen Discovery, Kirk does his 5-year mission on it. Maybe they put straight struts back on it for Kirk's mission. Fine, whatever. But if it's the same ship, the fact of the matter is it's eventually going to get refitted into the refitted Enterprise, unless it's a different era or parallel dimension or something, where something different could happen. But it's Prime, obviously, because they said so. And they're the IP holders.
But
obviously the refit is going to be bigger.
Well, no. If you look at this chart, though, I think you could, if you again ignore now TOS is now retconned out of the universe, you could shrink down the Discovery Prize into the new Enterprise. You take out all the fluff, you slice it. No, it fits within it, and the struts obviously the same, and the struts work quite well because they just added in the refit struts with an extra little slice. The nacelles obviously brand new. You wouldn't refit nacelles. What would be the point in that? It's a new warp drive system. And the source doesn't quite work, but you add a bridge module. So you could heavily cut the ship down. Because, why would you, if you've already got a hull, why would you rebuild superstructure that would take 2 years? If they're saying, it'll take a year less to refit if we just refit rather than rebuild, and we want to get these ships out there. So if it's just this evolution, you can see we went big in scope, especially with the Klingon War. Sure, made this big ship, and then as technology just improved hugely, we said, right, what's the most efficient ship we can make for the same crew as well? We assume,
Okay, see,
and it gets bigger.
Yeah, okay. Looking at this chart and seeing the secondary hull of this ship, I can buy that the secondary hull is roughly the same size. Fine. So you're telling me that the only part of the ship that's actually original is the secondary hull through all of this? The struts, the engines, the entire saucer section, which the saucer section to me is not necessarily the heart of the ship, but it's definitely a large part of it. If they replaced the neck, the saucer, the nacelles, and the struts, and just kept the secondary hull, I consider that a completely different ship.
But they did that for the refit as well. It's a new neck, it's new pylons, it's new nacelles.
It's a new neck and pylons and nacelles, yes. But the saucer is just still there, and so's the.
But if you look at the scale, it's still, and I'll zoom in for the audience at home just to make it easier. You could fit the refit saucer inside of the Discovery saucer. So my assumption again, if we're retconning out TOS because that's basically what they're doing. Because I'm just trying to be fair to them. You know, this is now TOS history. They just ripped off all of the outer hull, so now you've just got superstructure and beams. They took out all the mechanics of the technology except like maybe the computer core and such, but they're going to refit that anyway. They said, right, we're going to slice off the outer third because we're going to shrink the ship, whatever. So you've still got the beams, you've still got the rough whatever, rather than having to build all that again. You've still got it, you just slice away what you don't need, the excess fat, as it were, and then you come in with a much more efficient small ship. You know, I mean, cars, you could take the engine out, put a new thing, change. I don't know. You could, because I guess you could, because like with a car, I guess if you think of it, you could slice up the. So you've got a normal car. You could slice off the windshield and top bit, but keep the base shape, and then add a new windshield that's much sleeker. You could replace the doors with thinner doors that are more aerodynamic. You could replace the tires with more, you know. But you keep the main chassis, just everything around it. Because maybe it's cheaper than buying a brand new car, or like of the same performance, or you know, like they force us into this position. So could you see if it's just cutting away a lot of the hull? Because it's not. You could fit one in the other.
It's possible. Yeah, I guess it's possible. It's just completely unlikely, and I can see it working. I guess I'll give you that.
They're forcing us to think this way, Stuart.
Well, and that's good. It's good exercise for the brain.
So we have 2 more super chats, both from Chris Flores. Thanks so much. Both at $1.99. Thank you. First question. You can take the first. I'll take the second. Oh no, you did the same thing twice. Okay, you can take the first. I'll take the second. But they're identical. What explanation is given for nacelle size changes?
That's easy. Different technologies. Even the shape going down from the cylindrical to the refit style could just be either a new component, a new composite, or something that they're using for warp nacelles. You can make them smaller. You can make them slimmer. You can make them a different shape. So newer technologies influences how things look. I mean, the old Motorola phones had a flip part for like the you know, and now we got this. So I mean, if you're comparing it to, you know, cell phones, you can see that new technology brings in new shapes, brings in new sizes, and that would definitely work with nacelles. And a lot of people have talked about warp core size and how that relates to speed. The more dense a coil is, perhaps, like I said, that being a different composite, they can be smaller. Or if you keep them the same size with a different density, much faster ship. So that would be my explanation for why nacelle sizes change.
Well, I have an interesting comparison, and this is very literal. You've got headphones.
Yeah.
They both do the exact same thing.
They both do the same job.
Technology, but guess what? This is 1% the size, and yet they both can let me hear things.
But one does it way better, and you can hear this little nuances and subtleties. Yeah.
But one on the other. There you go. Now I've got 2 headphones on.
Meta.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, the idea of stuff we have has different functions. Like you said, you know, you can have a shuttlecraft Type 9 warp nacelle, which is an earbud, and then you have a sovereign nacelle in the same era that's a this. You know, same technology in different packages. So they just got better and sleeker.
That is the best analogy. It was amazing. I loved it.
Thanks.
You get a raise. All right. So.
Yeah, that was my sort of big ending cool one, so I was interested to see the NX in there as well.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you added the NX there. It's really neat to see.
Because this is the new retcon. Because, I mean, you can probably, if we have to retcon the refit to about the same equivalency increase in size to the original Connie, then that would bring it basically in line with Excelsior, but, you know, a hair's breadth, which would make the evolution between those 3 ships basically non-existent, but still, obviously, internal volume's hugely different and such, so that would still fit. And you look at the NX-01 leap between that and the Discovery Prize, you can see a leap of 100 years, whereas the other ones are incremental at best. So that it certainly does fit better, but it detracts from the, whoa, she's so big. That said, the Excelsior has a bigger internal volume and such, so it's still, whoa, it's bigger.
Oops.
1 second.
Yeah, it makes the step up. The the next evolutionary or experimental design step, less impressive for sure, should the refit be basically the same size as the Excelsior, externally, like external dimensions anyway.
So it is possible just to retcon a single portion of the era and not change everything else. It would then just mean that the refit windows are completely out of whack.
Well, that's what's happened to JJ too, because they upscaled the ship so much. The windows are way out of whack. So it's just the wacky world of Star Trek windows, I guess.
Although someone did say that the windows have always been different sizes. It's like, it's true, but also always very standardized as well, in different ways. Yeah,
because you get to see the windows from inside the ship as well as outside, so you get a pretty good sense of scale and how things should look.
Yeah. Another $2 super chat from Greg. Invidus, with that awesome face, horrible face, is a Halloween themed. Explain the change with the Batleth, Stuart.
Oh, well, we did a whole video on that, and like before, when we first saw the Batleth, and how impractical the design is as a weapon, which got proven on screen after you said it, because I think Samuel said that they would just stab themselves.
Its form for its function, because it had to kill its own person. That's why it was designed.
And that's what happens with the Torchbearer. He basically stabs himself because Burnham was doing some wacky, hijinks. And the Batleth that we do see, honestly, looks very ceremonial, which followed the whole sarcophagus ship, the ancient cult, the whole mummification thing. It made sense to be a ceremonial, ancient weapon, a representation of the Batleth. So that I don't have any issue with. But if they all have those, then there's a little bit of a problem.
A lot of the Discovery stuff, it makes sense if you break it down like we've broken it. Like we tried every time we saw something, we tried to make it make sense. If they allowed it to be, if they put in as much thought as we put in, it would have fitted in a lot better. But they expect us to take it as this is how it is now.
Deal with it.
Yeah, which is fine, but then just make it a third universe, and then everyone's happy because you can enjoy Star Trek for what it is. It's not the best story, it's not the best anything, but it's certainly enjoyable in its own way. But you create these paradoxes just for the sake of it. They did it themselves. That's the joke. We're only judging them by the standards they set.
Yeah, exactly. But all right, so looks like I gotta get clear out of here soon, so I guess I'm gonna go.
Well, how much longer do we have left on this panel formally?
Like 5 minutes.
Ah.
I think. I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, Chris says, yo guys, pay attention to the people at the con. Sure.
Hey, people at the con, we can see you. Hello. You're all waving. There. I wondered where you went.
Oh, time. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Now we can.
Do you have questions?
Yeah, we have lots of questions for you.
Go for it.
Shoot.
Personally, I've talked to you online a few times. You're super accessible. We admin Star Trek Discovery page together. Had like 7,000 people. Facebook just got rid of it. No explanation whatsoever. So I want to take the opportunity to thank you for being a part of that. It was the most successful page I've ever had. I have no idea what happened to it. I don't know why they took it off. I messaged them, but hopefully someday we can get it back. But I enjoy doing that with you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice
kind of.
Any questions are welcome.
What's that?
So I hope to see you in Ticonderoga sometime. I know you've already been there 3 times, but
I'll probably be going. I'll probably go next year sometime. I'm not. I might go for Trekyards next year. Yeah. So.
There's more questions.
Go for it.
There is. Shoot.
I know you're on the stream, so we can see you.
So I was wondering, like, you were talking about, like, how the Constitution class, like, changes size multiple times and anything. Any chance you think that maybe the Enterprise could, like, suffer, like, heavy damage in, like, an upcoming season of Discovery? That maybe explain why it goes through such a radical redesign?
I mean, yes and no. So would have had to do something drastic would have had to have happened to it since the cage as well for this new upgrade. And people have said the war variants.
Well, there was a massive war where we lost so many ships. I mean, you've got the reason. massive ass war where we were losing the entire time.
And to be fair, the trailers and stuff we've seen for season 2, it does look like work bees are taking care of the Enterprise as the Discovery takes off. So maybe that's why Pike commandeered the Discovery, because the Enterprise is essentially, needing some kind of repair. It looks like work bees are heading towards the nacelles. So it could be that they need to do some sort of repair there, which might result in straight struts, which would make me happy. I like straight struts. I don't know.
I think it'd be epic if we saw something awesome that just, damaged it so much they said, well, damn, we almost got to start again, but we won't quite say it's a new ship because we still took the kitchen sink. It's the same ship, we have the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
There's always reasons. You just be clever with them. We'll accept it if they explain it.
We can always come up with explanations. That's one of the things we do, unfortunately. We're forced to, like he said, like Samuel said.
Klingon ships and everything. Klingon ships having cloaking technology at that point in the timeline. Was there any good explanation for that, or?
Oh, we talked about that ad nauseum too. Again, we thought Takuvama specifically that his cult maybe were working with the Romulans, or the Romulans behind the scenes.
It's happened.
The Romulans were behind the scenes pulling the strings, gave them the cloaking technology to specifically either unify or cause issues within the Klingon Empire, and also take out the Federation. Because that's something the Klingon or the Romulans would do. They're very behind the scenes subterfuge. So that's the only thing we can come up with, because apparently now all the houses have cloaking devices, which technically they shouldn't have until 2267.
Well, and again, to be fair, they're called cloaking screens, but to be double fair, they also call them cloaking devices throughout the show, so it's inconsistent with its own magic. If you want to call them one, then you can call them different. But then you start, keeping a little bit consistent, because it's amazing how amazed they were in the first episode, given that the Suliban had cloaks, and multiple other people, the Lithians, whatever. There's like 3 or 4 cloaking devices in Enterprise alone, and the Romulan War, where they fought against cloaking devices. It's not new. Might not have been seen for a while, but it's certainly not new. And yeah, we try to think a good reason, but they didn't give us any reason. It's just here it is.
And the fact of the matter is, we've only seen season 1. Season 2's ready to launch. They can answer all these questions, and they can make it work if they do it correctly. They can answer them totally wrong and have us complain about it. They can also fix it so that it's proper. I don't know whether they're going to do that. We got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They still have however many seasons that Discovery's going to run for to fix it. So anything is possible. Like Samuel and myself have talked about, in 10 years' time, after 7 seasons of Discovery and a few years to let it sit, we're going to look back at season 1 of Discovery maybe and go, yeah, remember how much we hated season 1 and how much we love Discovery now? Like, we don't know what the future holds. So...
Yep. I mean, look how Manikoto changed Enterprise, and everyone's like, wow, it's the best season. New people, fresh ideas that help, improve a thing.
Young minds, fresh ideas. Be tolerant.
Yes. And then a few years later he says, there's no Enterprise, but just the 1701, no B, C, or D. It's lovely. You got both lines of dialogue. No, it'd be fun. That'd be a hell of a good plot line season 2 though, to explain the Klingon cloaking devices. Maybe because all we know of the Klingon subplot currently is that they go after this old guy. That's literally the entire, and there's a D7. So wouldn't it be interesting if he's the one that got, he's the one that worked with Takuvama to get the cloaking devices, so they went after him to find who's the source, because the technology came out of nowhere. This could be a tactical advantage. What else has this race got? Because, who's to say, if they haven't talked to the Federation in 100 years, they haven't seen the Romulans in 100 years, it's different parts of the quadrant. No reason to say they were at war. So wouldn't that be interesting? It's like a season arc to see, well, where do the cloaking devices come from? How can we get more technology? Should we use them as allies? Should we,
Yeah, and we've heard whisperings and rumors of Romulans in season 2. Some people even speculated that hologram of the ship, the D7, was actually a Romulan ship, which would have pissed me off. Apparently, we've kind of been semi-confirmed that that's not the case. It is a Klingon D7. But with whisperings of Romulans and Discovery, I can see what Samuel just said perfectly viable. They go to find out where this cloaking technology came from, and I mean, it can all be fixed. It's just a matter of how clever they are or how clever they choose to be. So
yeah, we do try. We do try.
Yeah. So any more questions?
Or comments before we jump
Or
away?
comments? I guess not.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I got to get going because they're going to need to get in here in a minute. So thank you very much. It was nice seeing you guys at Albany. You're in Albany, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes. Northeast Trekkon. So say hi to all the celebrities for us. And we're there in spirit. We wish we could be there. Unfortunately, I'm at a convention in London, Ontario all weekend. So Samuel's in the UK. So.
Aye. But yeah, thanks for inviting us. And
yes, thank you very much.
Hope this was interesting.
And a big round of applause to everybody. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. All right, I will be going now, Samuel, so I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Bye, Stuart.
Bye.
And I'll go too. So thanks, guys. And is that everything?
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Bye, everyone. And there we go, guys. Jeez, and still here I am. Oh dearie me. Let's do like a 2-minute hello. I said that last time, but hello. So there you go. Shorter event this time. I guess Stuart had to run away from his event to do this event. We're both Skyping in, and I am doing Romulan War animation work today is my plan. But yeah, so thanks guys for having a look, joining in. The super chat's amazing, helps us always. Hope you guys like the new pictures I invented for this. I think there's some kind of cool stuff with this chart. I thought was pretty interesting because, you know, there's a thing with canon is that you've got to take what they give you. You know, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's ill thought out, that is what they are telling us. And so we're forced to take the It's Prime moniker and look at the Prime, because they haven't said it actively reboots, retcons. They haven't said that. They could. They haven't yet. As such, this is the official, and it's fine to just be like it doesn't work. But, you know, they're telling us it works, which means it has to work, which means we have to make it work. So, yeah, that's the... yeah, that's what this discussion was about, being a bit more... how can we make it make sense? But yeah, thanks guys for watching. I am going to do other work in a few minutes. I've got more light waving to do. But hope you guys had a nice panel. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I might still do my later live stream about Convergence later on today. And I might be on another YouTuber's live stream as well, maybe, depending. So we will see. I'm still trying to raise money for that project. Obviously, we got another donation last night. We're now at, drum roll, for my fan film, 4,785 of 5,500. 87%, still a way to go. But lots of people are claiming the USS Horizon crew member. That was a fun joke perk I did, but it's a Easter eggy sort of perk. But yeah, support the fan film, and I might do a thing about this later on today. Well, it's a little bit later, and hopefully you guys will turn up if you see it and we can talk Convergence. But I need to get enough work done before I can think about doing play work. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. Have a great everything, and thanks for joining the Trekyards channel once again. Bye, everyone.